This is Real Estate Real Talk, a weekly podcast about real estate industry news that actually matters, hosted by some of the industry's leading agents. Here are this week's hosts.
Welcome to the Real Estate Real Talk podcast. We're excited to kick off Season 4 with our series on AI tools for real estate agents. Over the next few episodes, we'll explore how AI is changing the way agents connect, work, and close deals. To start the series, we're talking with Patricia Orange. She'll share her take on what real estate professionals need to know to stay ahead.
My name is Patricia Orange. I am a broker, associate, and property manager based in Jacksonville, Florida, the Beaches area. I actually have been in real estate since 2013. My brokerage, Coldwell Banker Vanguard Realty, has done an amazing job with education. And one of the mandates about 6 years ago was the certified residential specialist designation. With the culmination of the volume and going through the educational part, I was able to get it accomplished in about a year. But it was one of those where I didn't know about it until my broker actually shared that with me.
Speaking as an agent, how has your day become better or easier through the use of AI?
I used to Google a lot, and half of my search is now between either Google or ChatGPT. And now I've actually been adding Gronk, which is another AI source, but just used a little differently. When it comes to formulating an email a little bit better, or maybe creating some themes or information that I may have not known about that I just want to find quickly, I find myself utilizing ChatGPT a lot more frequently.
Can you give an example of how AI has impacted your workload and the results you have gotten from using it?
When I think about how I use AI just in general, I look at it from, like, if you think of an organizational chart. So I'm at the top and then I have different people in place. So I do have a team, but when I think about ChatGPT, it's one of my teammates, right? It's one of the people that or things that support me in my business on a day-to-day basis. So just with ChatGPT being able to say, formulate this listing description for me, or I even used it recently for one of my listings. The seller was actually in the process of moving, so he had boxes in one of the rooms. And so instead of just saying, I'm just going to have the picture of the box, and even though they were professionally taken, I went ahead and had one of the photos edited using ChatGPT. And so I had two pictures of the listing of with the boxes so that it wasn't like a bait or switch, but also another photo showing what it would look like without the boxes. And so that was a quick way of just me going through and not having to go through the rigmarole of, hey, photographer, can you do this? Can you do that? That really cut my time down tremendously, being able to just say, hey, upload the photo, please remove the boxes, and then walking it through that and prompting it. And then from there, I was able to have a finished product within like 4 to 5 minutes.
Would you dive into the ethics behind using AI in your workload? What should agents be aware of when using tools like this to make sure they're staying above board and not crossing any ethical lines?
One thing I noticed, I have to prompt and I have to proofread. So when you request or send something to ChatGPT and just write it in, don't expect that's going to be your final result and you're just going to copy and paste. You always want to proofread. You always want to double check. Remember when I was in college, if you're sourcing something, you need to put where the website is or reference the author or the website. The same thing is applicable with ChatGPT because ChatGPT is taking a lot of the information from the internet. Where is it coming from? So making sure that if you want it to sound like yourself, you might have to make some revisions. So there are times where I might have a chat GPT actually create something and I like the way it sounds, but it may not sound necessarily like me. So I'll still make the changes. I speak do not, but I don't say don't as often. So sometimes with ChatGPT, I have to say do not abbreviate. Make sure that you're saying it clearly because I know that's how I write is the same way that I want it to send me the information so I don't have to do so many revisions. So proofreading is key, making sure that your sourcing is key, and also making sure that it sounds like you. A lot of the things that you're doing, you want it to be an extension of you, but not like a whole totally different person. So me as an agent, when a client sees me, the way I speak should be in line with what I'm writing and how I sound so that it's just an elevated, quicker response from ChatGPT using those resources, but not necessarily saying like, that's not the same person that's been sending me these emails.
Oh, for sure. What's your advice for an agent just getting started using AI so that when they're prompting, it feels authentic to them and to their brand?
AI is constantly evolving every single day. And every time I have a conversation, I've been having a lot of conversations around I learn something new. So, one thing that I learned recently is the GPTs. So, you have different GPTs that you can create that can sound the way you want it to sound. So, I have one person shared with me, which I'm actually going to implement, is calling it different names. So, she has like one that's named Greta and one that's named John. Or it's kind of like thinking about Siri or Alexa when you think of that. So, with the GPTs, you can actually say, I want this to be more direct, or I want this to be more professional, or I want this to be friendly. So you can have the different GPTs. And based on that, because the way you market on LinkedIn is different than you market on Instagram, and it's different from YouTube. And what's my intention? What is the voice that I want to come across? It's still me, but there's different hats, right? Is this somebody I know? Like if I'm working with a client that's a family or a friend or my best friend, I'm not going to be super professional because they're going to be like, Patricia, it's just me. Like we're just talking, as opposed to somebody that I may not know, I'm still building rapport with. I may be more on the professional side, still friendly, but more professional as I continue to build that rapport with said client. So, long story short, coming back to what is the intention? What is the end result that you're seeking? And being able to guide ChatGPT into the end result.
Do you have any hidden tips that you use in your day to day work that you found beneficial when prompting and getting the best results possible?
I like to be as direct and concise as possible in the beginning stages because to me, I feel like it lessens the amount of questions and going back and forth that I have to go with ChatGPT. Making sure when you first prompt, keeping it short, keeping it simple, almost like I'm talking to a 6 or 7 year old, but I know this is what I need done, right? I start there, keeping it simple. And then as I build on, because the more you use ChatGPT, the more it knows you. So there's certain things you don't have to explain. Say, ChatGPT, tell me about me. That would be actually probably a hack. Do that right now. Just go check and say, ChatGPT, tell me about me. If it doesn't know anything about you, that's an opportunity to say, this is me in a nutshell, and explain who you are. Because the future questions that you ask, it's going to derive that out of what it knows about you. So I found that that would be my number one hack is to ask it about who you are and making sure that it is in alignment with what you want to portray and who you are.
How have your prompts changed from when you began using AI to how you prompt now?
In the beginning, ChatGPT was very generic. And keep in mind, since I started using it to now, there's been enhancements, there's been changes. Still getting used to now the new 5.0. I think I want to go back to the previous ChatGPT because I felt like it wasn't in line with what I was accustomed to. So I know that there's still kinks and it's going to continue to grow and evolve. And that's okay. That's a part of the journey. In terms of being able to navigate, I know how I want it to respond and I know what's possible for it because I've seen it done. There's times where it will start going kind of in a rabbit hole, depending on what I needed to do. I'll say, please go back to this request, like earlier on in the conversation. So it's like allowing me to kind of detour back to the initial because I like that, but where we're going is not the trajectory. And going back to the intention, ChatGPT is only going to give you what you're prompting it to give you. And sometimes it will test waters to say, like, did you think of this? And sometimes it's amazing. It's like, oh, this is actually in line. I didn't even think of that. And then there's sometimes we're like, no, this is not the direction that we want to head. In general, being able to keep the promptings, knowing how you're asking it the questions, keeping it concise, that helps with getting that end result that you need.
Really helpful, thanks. You've listed a few ways AI is helping you, helping draft a listing, editing photos, or writing social media content. Now, for someone who's on the fence about adding AI to their toolkit, what's your advice? What is one task that you would recommend an agent start with?
I've been using ChatGPT for quite some time, but I would say for me, it's my voice, but making it fun. So I have a monthly marketing tool that's sent out to all of my clients. It's like a local gift where they have the opportunity to redeem it. It might be a cup of coffee or, a little snack or a cookie. And so with that system, I actually realized that I can customize my verbiage to them. Like it doesn't just say, here's a coffee gift from the Orange Group. It can say something a little bit more detailed and more intimate and personable. So what I did, because I have about 5 to 6 regions in the system, there was different gifts. So I said, okay, I'm going to put in ChatGPT. From what you know about me, I give my clients a gift every month. This gift is for coffee. Please write something. And he gave me 5 different options, and I was able to go through and select it. But when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So it went out on Tuesday. I got so many responses yesterday, and I've been doing this program. I've been sending out marketing like this gift for at least over a year. And I'll get from time to time someone says thank you. But I noticed me customizing each response for said gift. I got a better result. And so, because of that, that's something I'm going to do on a recurring basis because every month, because the gift does change, but being able to add that additional personal touch for something so simple that's already on autopilot, that's already being done. So I would say to said agent, if you already have a current marketing frequent thing that you do, it could be social media, it could be in person, it could be a thank you card, or just a note that you might be writing. Go to ChatGPT and say, I'm writing a note to someone and I want to cover this, that, and that. Can you create a brief note for me that I can write? And see what it says. And you might be surprised. It may not be exactly what you want to write, but it might be along the lines, or it's going to ignite, this is what I want to write to said person. And that's a great place to start.
Could you list some of your AI tools and how you use them?
I use several systems to do several things. So, like Asana, that's where I do my task management. And I use Calendly when I need to do showing requests or property views because I'm a property manager too. I also use a lot of Google, like Google Docs. I use Loom for my team when I have to record something quickly. I can just say, I'm going to show you my screen. This is what I need done. And I can just send it to them. So with all those different platforms, you're using it all kind of in sequence, but they're not together. Something like Zapier allows me to put it all under one. And that's something, I'll be honest, like it's not where I have it all figured out. It's one of those things you're kind of like still going through the process of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Someone just shared with me the new Google workspaces where you can actually like upgrade your Google Gmail account, and it gives you all these different systems that you can use. And I found myself, I'm like, am I duplicating all these different systems? And I could probably just use one. So I'm actually currently evaluating whether or not I'm going to upgrade to that to see if that will work. Because going back to just cost, like you can pay a lot for all these different services, and being able to figure out, okay, what's the cost effective way to still run my business efficiently, be proactive, have it systematically, and still have a really good output. That's something I'm always reevaluating. But Zapier is one of those systems that allows you to kind of plug in all the different systems and it kind of all works together and talks to each other. I think that's a great way to say to ChatGPT, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. What systems do you recommend that I use? And then from there, what's the pricing on said systems? I'm literally prompting I would be asking ChatGPT, what's the rating on these systems? Is there any specials at this time? Just asking the questions to see how ChatGPT will tell you, you know what, Patricia, I think this would be a great option for you. Okay, why? And being able to go through that process and seeing what works best for you. Because for me, running the sales division for my team of property management, and then we have like investing side, that can be a lot of moving parts. And I have several people that support me in specific roles. And so that's why I need those different systems to keep everything organized.
Could you talk about the pricing of some of these AI tools and what advice you would give to agents on how to invest in tools like these on a smaller budget?
I think a majority of the systems, not Asana, but like ChatGPT, if you look at Gronk, they have a free version, but then you're capped to a certain time frame of, okay, you've asked enough questions for the day or for the month, you've got to reset or you have to pay to play. I think it's really important that you just leverage the different AI systems. There's several that you can choose, and each one is good a niche. They have their own niches. So being able to know, I'm going to use ChatGPT for this, I'm going to use Grok for this, what other AI that you're going to use for this. And that might help spread it out where you're not paying for the service because you're being mindful of how you're using it. That's one way. Another, if you look at just now, even Google has its own AI. A lot of the different platforms and systems are adding their own AI component to it. So how do I use this? I may not have to pay for it, but I can use it. So I noticed on my iPhone, I search on Google and Google's like, do you want to go AI on this? And it's like, oh, okay. That's another way. There's no cost for that. So being able to figure out what works for you for what, going back to the intention, what do you want the output to look like? You can use a lot of different systems that don't cost or allow you to use it up to a certain amount of prompts before it will charge you.
So, what metrics do you look at to see the value that these AI tools have brought to your business?
Loom has an AI component. When I record several videos, I normally probably record 5 to 10 videos a week. And it will literally give me a statistic of you have eliminated X amount of meetings this week just from doing these videos. It eliminates the back and forth. I've used it with my clients where I'm explaining to them this is the information about the market, this is what's going on. Or if they have a question about something, I'll do a Loom on it. And just recently, my client's a teacher. She's purchasing new construction home and she had some questions about certain things. And so I said, oh, I'm going to do a Loom on it. To me, the time is the most important component for me. So when you think about numbers and analytics, it's like, oh, I can look at these numbers. But because I have so many moving parts, AI helps me reduce the time. A lot of times I'm asking a question like, okay, I need to put the social media. How long is that going to take me to do that? And how can I shorten that amount of time? With ChatGPT, I can go through and look at the scripting. Okay, I already have the script. I don't have to think about what I need to say. Okay, how long should it be? What am I going to? All these little things that come along. So when I look at analytics for me personally, time is really, really what I'm looking at from a numerical standpoint.
Outside of your business, how do you use AI in normal daily life? And what roles do you see AI moving into in your life?
Thinking like little things like creating my recipes for the week based off the food I have. That AI can do that already. With my son and going to school, I've already used AI to help me put flashcards together and little things to help with his learning. And that has saved me a lot of time. I feel like anything that I can think of, oh, if I plug in AI is going to give me an answer or AI is going to give me what I need. AI cannot duplicate people, emotions, experience, and nor do I want it to, right? I think that it's best served in its current role as a teammate, as an assistant, as a support. In that retrospect, it just makes us stronger, wiser, faster, more efficient, which I'm super excited about. I think it requires me being present for that. So, like time with my son, quality time with my husband, quality time with my friends and family, being able to travel. I don't need to automate that. The things that I want to take and reduce my time are the things that are either redundant or I can't think of like, oh, give me some options for themes or questions that I can ask. Like that is where ChatGPT or any AI supports me in. Went to Italy years ago. I did an Airbnb experience in Tuscany. This grandmother came out and she made the sauce from scratch from the garden outside. And we made the pasta from scratch and rolled it. And that is a memory that I still have to this day, right? So I appreciate the parts where I don't need a robot for. I want to be able to experience the things that only requires a human interaction and human connection.
Oh, that sounds so great. Oh, I want to do that. How important is it for realtors to keep that personal touch with their clients? You can automate a lot of your systems and emails, but clients still need to know that there's a real person behind every message, touch point, and interaction.
Yeah, so I'm really big on education. So in addition to being a CRS agent, I'm a one-to-one Buffini agent. But with ChatGPT breaking down, systemizing, being able to give me more time back, I can then focus on the stuff that's really important, like connecting with clients, making sure they hear from me, making sure they see me with the Popeyes, making sure they get that note of thank you or I was thinking of you or happy birthday. So for me, I'm excited about what's to come with the AI evolution because I think it's just going to allow us to be more present and more connected because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. You know, people remember how you made them feel, not always what you said, but the feeling stays and is a long lasting gratification.
You mentioned the importance of education to you. You're a CRS designee, and our designees are some of the most educated agents out there. A lot of people may not be attending a class or a webinar if they think they could get their answers through AI. But how important is it to hear real life stories from agents and their success stories, making that education personable and one on one?
For me, it keeps me going. It keeps the fire burning. You know, I've been in this business since 2013. I started off when it was coming up, but I dealt with a lot of short sales, a lot of foreclosures. I'm thankful that I came in at that time because it gave me the grit and perseverance to weather said storms coming along. And then I came up where the market was amazing and you couldn't keep a house on the market. And then the last 2 years have been just a lot of changes. And one thing I always say is change is constant and being able to hear from and even with COVID, right, got to add COVID to it, right, where our world kind of stopped for a little bit and how do we do business and how do we continue. I would say for me, I love to stay connected with other agents. So and especially I'm a part of the CBB cares council where we're a 501c3 for our company, and every transaction that I close, a portion goes to the CBB cares fund. And in those connections and just speaking with other agents, we're able to say, how are you doing? How's the market going? And I would say for me, there's power in connection. It's power in when I'm speaking to an agent, a veteran agent longer than me that's been in the business 20, 30 years. And it's like, there's cycles. This too shall pass. It allows you to know that you do have to persevere. Don't ever give up, just to continue. There's three things I always say: education, experience, and exposure. The education piece is a part of success. You don't know what you don't know. And so being able to be connected with the different videos and webinars and events that CRS offers is critical to your success in the future because those connections are long lasting.
Patricia, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your great experience. Your insights on how real estate agents can use AI to save time, automate tasks, and to get more work done efficiently were incredibly valuable.
I'm just honored to have been asked to do this and looking forward to other opportunities.
Thanks for listening to Real Estate Real Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, crs.com/realtalk, to your friends and colleagues. Please leave us a positive review wherever you listen to our podcast, and be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous episodes. This has been a Residential Real Estate Council production. Join us next time for another edition of Real Estate Real Talk.